things like water quality and runoff. So really kind of, a focal point of us was finding a better way to help managers use actionable science, and that it can be conducted in tandem with researchers, or, a closer cooperative co-production. And another thing we talked about as well was, what are the roles of researchers and managers for outreach, and who are the audiences and stakeholders that they could be reaching, and how should that be done in cooperation. So, I think a final kind of parting point was that we need to take action now so we have a resilient future. And yeah, I just thank everyone for all their conversation. And I know I probably didn't capture everything, but thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that readout. Similar themes throughout, it sounds like, that we do need to take action. We need to act together. Let's go to our group where you can hear some of those themes repeated, which is the changing plant communities, which Tara will give us a readout.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Yes, like everyone else, we were just getting warmed up, and I think you'll hear some similar topics of conversation, and if we can identify what those are, then I guess those are the sweet spots for PI-CASC moving ahead. We started off talking a lot, or a little bit, I guess, about uncertainty, how uncertainty is something that is associated with climate change, that to some degree we need to help everyone, including managers, get comfortable with, and to work with uncertainty through scenario planning and prioritization. And drilling down further into that, we started talking about, what are we doing as either researchers or managers even that we maybe shouldn't be doing? Are there new strategies out there, novel conservation actions that might be more helpful? And we heard that as a manager, it would be nice to hear loud and clear from the researchers if they know of something that should be happening that maybe isn't. So we need the researchers to be loud. That kind of rolled into something that I didn't expect to hear about, which is the idea of recognizing lost causes. Again, we were talking about changing plant communities, so managing, think like watersheds and forests. There might be cases where we might need to stop doing things the way we always have as conservationists in the past, and not have our precious resources diverted to those things. So recognizing and identifying what those lost causes may be. Again, leading to specific and concrete actionable items. We heard from our group that maybe there wasn't enough conversation about that during this this 2-day workshop, and doing more pilot projects so we can learn from experience and learn from our mistakes and see what works and what doesn't. And at the end, when we got into voting, there were high votes for collaboration, both up at the state and federal level and down to the local community level. So as much as we think we try and we work hard at collaboration, we always need more. And our parting comments, which were, I think, full of wisdom, was that, we have lots of opportunities for researchers to report out to managers, or the managers to learn from researchers about science. But there aren't as many opportunities to turn that on its head and have the opportunity for the scientist to be out there working with the managers directly, maybe in their quote unquote habitat, in the field or wherever it may be. So we need more collaboration. We need more of those personal relationships, which aren't just for the duration of a research project, but are years in the making. And to go out there and find out what those managers need and work on their projects and not just what we think our own projects should be. Thank you. I learned a lot.
Yep, it truly was a great discussion that we had. Thank you for leading that. So we have two more. I know you guys are glancing at the clock, but let's see what we have to learn from our other two groups. First, we're going to go to sea level rise and coastal resilience with Brad leading.
Okay, aloha everybody. All right. Yeah, this is sea level rise and coastal resilience. I have the added challenge of trying to capture we split off into three different verbal discussion groups. So it's inevitable that I'm going to miss some key points, but I'm going to do my best to summarize from Dolan and Ruby's great notes as well. So thanks to them for facilitating those other two discussions. But rest assured, groups, that we have captured as much as we could in the notes and the recording, and that this will live on to inform, our priorities and our discussions and such forth, the PI-CASC looking ahead. So some of the things that really kind of caught my ear and that got a lot of discussion in the time that we had was, again, this is sea level rise and coastal resilience, was on nature-based and cultural solutions to adaptation. Example that came up of living cultural resources like fish ponds and where they fit into adaptation for communities and natural resources. And related to that, concept of stitching together diverse knowledges to move forward and making sure that we have more than the folks with the initials after their name at the table from the beginning of developing these projects. And another thing that came up is training the next generation of students as scientists and managers. One topic that popped up repeatedly in the mentee polling and the discussions was managed retreat and taking the next steps with that. Certainly a big concern for development along our shorelines, but also in maintaining our shoreline environments. And that's managed retreat or trying to move stuff back from the coastline and with the sort of sea level rise and how to do that. We don't quite have all those answers yet. Other thoughts that came back from the discussion groups, bottom-up approaches to partnerships. Don't wait to just come and present your data later to the community. That's something we're focused on at PI-CASC and want to continue to expand and develop better practices with you all on, including extension and education components in all research proposals. Again, something we're considering we could expand on too. I like those thoughts. Few more other concepts, continued focus on visualization and access to data. I think that's about tools and making sure that our partners and managers and communities have access to this data in ways that's interpretable, relatable, understandable. So yeah, that's great. Comments about 100-year plus projections are of limited use for immediate planning needs, right? So we need information on a range, on various time spans and to inform planning needs at different time scales. One that caught my eye was the topics of love and passion that came up. Those words popped up in some of the mentee polls that I saw. It looks like got some discussion. And, I'll take some liberty in just kind of interpreting that comes back to love for our communities in the Pacific Islands, the sense of place that we want to maintain, and needs to be a key part of our adaptation considerations moving ahead. And again, that comes back to having communities and everybody at the table in these discussions. So let's see. I think that I'll stop there. Thank you all to our groups for the feedback. Thanks.
Thank you, Brad. I always find it inspiring when people actually speak not just their education, because I'm in so many meetings where people do that, but where people come and they actually speak their hearts. So I think that's one of the most rewarding parts about this job. So thank you for sharing that in your group. We're to our last person, last but not least. We're gonna go with Max to tell us about I'm sorry, marine and freshwater ecosystems, please.
And I'm going to be Max because
hi, Max.
unfortunately Max has unfortunately lost his internet. He actually did towards the end of the group, and we got him back in to give the report out, and then he lost it again. And I'm gonna take two reasons to take an easy way out here. One is that we're running late, and two is there's so much that's been said that really connects and crosses with the conversation that we had in this group, namely around communication, science communication, stakeholder engagement. There was a lot of emphasis, especially in the last Menti poll, that really was emphasizing the engagement of federal partners and community partners, et cetera, et cetera. If we had an opportunity for me to open it up to some of the other participants, I would do that. But again, since we're running a little bit late on the whole, I'm going to leave it at that. I know members of our group, if they want to chime in on the Q&A, they certainly can. I guess, the only other thing that it does occur to me was emphasized was implementation. We had a little bit of conversation. I started that ball rolling a little bit, and we had some conversation about the challenges around implementation and the challenges for scientists because it's not their role, and even many of the resource managers that are dependent on the change in policy, and maybe don't have direct influence to have those policies changed, even if they would like to see them changed. And I think, yeah, I'm gonna call it at that. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Darren. So we are right at the end of our program, and I really would like to thank you. I would like to thank you all for being part of this, and I would like to share this. You can interpret this as the sunset, we're ending our meeting, or you can interpret this as the sunrise, that this is a beginning, and this is every day that we can start over and we can actually work together to make this better. And I hope that in many ways, like I said, I know this has been going on for a long time before I ever got here. I appreciate that. But I also know that this summit is definitely a step forward, and that it is an attempt to start something. It's an attempt to renew the conversation, to renew the interaction. And I hope that you will take advantage of that, and that you will reach out to PI-CASC, and that you will talk to us more deeply and engage with us more deeply. And we definitely will endeavor to do that with you. Part of what, of course, active listening is listening to what you've said to us through this, and then coming back to you in the future, hopefully in the near future, within the next week or two, to let you know that we heard you, or to let you know what we think we heard from you, and to hope that you will come back and correct us and work with us and iterate with us to move this forward to a more positive place. We will in some way be having some sort of regular science summit. I can't tell you if it'll be annual, it'll be once every 2 years, once every 3 years. I don't know what it'll be. Hopefully it will actually be in person next time, and we can all sit down together and have conversations and go for walks with dinosaurs, and actually there won't be dinosaurs, we'll actually be together instead of virtual. So that will be fabulous. I would like to also thank a few people. Darren, do you have a couple of thank you slides that you could share? I don't know if you have the option to be able to do that. Fabulous. So as I mentioned in the very beginning, I am the federal director of PI-CASC, but I also mentioned throughout this that everything is built on relationships. And one of the fundamental aspects of PI-CASC is the people that you see here. These are Darren Lerner is my director partner through the University of Hawaii at Manoa, but I also share the role of leadership with Dr. Romina King at the University of Guam and Dr. Jim Beats at Hawaii at Hilo. And they have numerous staff that work under them who are also extraordinarily helpful and who have been instrumental in setting this summit up. So Darren, could we go to the next and also thank these people? So these are all of these people having a good time. Next time we'll get a picture of us all together when we can actually all get back together. But thank you specifically to Darcy, Kristen, Scott, Heather, Maya, Lisa, Rachel, and Brad. And I really should read the name of the other 67 participants because you guys also deserve a hearty thank you for helping to make this successful. And again, I look forward to moving this endeavor forward with you as well. Darren, do you have anything last minute to say? Otherwise, I would say thank you and enjoy your, what is it, Wednesday? I never can remember in COVID.
Thank you, Mari-Vaughn. You covered it all tremendously. And I'm just going to underscore the thanks to all our participants. Mari-Vaughn just said 67, which is just the number that hung with us after 4 p.m. today. We had over 150 people yesterday. Really appreciate all the attendees. Couldn't do any of this without all of you. Thanks so much.
Mahalo. Take care.